Okay, I'm so glad this person said this because I did go back in the text. And yes, Amarantha did steal the King of Hybern's book of spells, which is, disobedient behavior. And because I know the Suriel is very particular about semantics, here it does say that Amarantha was a commander, and in the previous text it said that a commander disobeyed the king. So I think it is an obvious conclusion that the deceiver is Amarantha. I just can't help but still feel sus about it. And keep in mind, whenever the Suriel talks about someone, it gives that fae a title as opposed to its name. When it said stay with the High Lord, there are several High Lords. We just assumed it meant Tamlin, and then we learned in the next book that it meant Rhys. And so when I saw it said the deceiver and just said a title, objectively that title could mean anyone. At the time, Amarantha was the queen of Prythian. Why didn't the Suriel say the queen? Why didn't the Suriel say the thief if she did steal the book? Why the deceiver? That's what made me start questioning if it actually is Amarantha, because again, the Suriel does use these ambiguous terms so that it could have double meaning. Earlier in Akamath, before Jurian says that Amarantha stole the book of spells, Rhys tells us that the king of Hybern had Amarantha ruling over Prythian as part of his overall plan. So that just doesn't seem very deceitful to me, which is why I originally jumped to that conclusion in the first video in the first place. I think it's totally safe to say that the Suriel was talking about Amarantha, but I'm going to be unhinged and offer the theory that perhaps it is possible that there is a commander we haven't been introduced to yet who is more deceitful than Amarantha is. And I say that because I just wouldn't categorize Amarantha as a deceitful person, especially if the king of Hybern weaved any disobedience that she did into his plan. She wouldn't be a successful deceiver if someone else used her deceit for their own plan. Like, that person would be more deceitful than her, if that makes sense. Also, regardless of if it's Amarantha or not, there's still the fact that there are other spies from the king of Hybern in Prythian who, I want to know who those people are. Did they go after the war? Did they stay, or are they undercover? So I guess my question now is there any character that we know of that showed up on the scene of Prythian 100 years ago? And only 100 years ago? Is there any character that we know of like that? If the answer is no, I'll drop the theory. If there's a character that showed up 100 years ago, I wonder if they're a potential candidate for the deceiver.